Are you a woman with HIV? Would you like to know more about the issues that affect women with HIV and AIDS? What if there was a conference on AIDS designed just for you that explained the issues that affect women with HIV? Find out about it next on AIDS Vision. Welcome to AIDS Vision. I'm your volunteer host, Allison Arngrim, and today we're going to be talking about the 5th annual Los Angeles Conference on Women and HIV. And today I have with me Anna Rodriguez and Elissa Glickman.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Hi.
Been here before, and now you have but a new thing to tell us about. Now it's the 5th annual. So some people may already know about this, but this is a very specifically designed conference on AIDS and HIV targeted to women. Tell us how this works.
Well, the idea is that women who are newly infected or long-term survivors of HIV or AIDS, this is a practical skills building conference. They come, it's free of charge to them.
It's free.
It's free.
It's free. It's always works.
And you
on
know,
me,
people
yes.
say there's no such thing as a free lunch, but at this conference there is.
There's free lunch
there's free
as well.
lunch.
We
There's
like this a lot.
transportation is provided for women. Child care is provided for women. We have 3 different tracks, which are workshops designed for women, and in those tracks we have 4 different workshops. Some of them include antiretrovirals and opportunistic infections and nutrition counseling and that sort of thing. So again, it's practical skills for women who don't know a lot about HIV infection or how to access resources.
So this, unlike your typical thing, like say the International AIDS Conference, where a lot of professionals and doctors, someone maybe a doctor may want to go to this, but this is really for people living with HIV. This is for women.
Exactly. That was the concept 4 years ago when the first conference happened, is that women who were infected with HIV, they had different needs. And when they went to these larger conferences that were very expensive and difficult for them to get to, they weren't really getting out of these conferences what they needed in order to survive. So a group of very dedicated, very outspoken women got together, did some fundraising, and put on the first conference that was specifically geared towards women living with HIV.
Now, what is your connection to the conference? What is it that you two are doing?
Well, specifically, I'm the co-chair for the conference, and through AIDS Project Los Angeles, I was given the opportunity to be a part of this and help in the fundraising and the media and the workshop planning and that sort of thing.
Actually, my role, I mean, for last year I was also the co-chair for the conference, and this time I decided, well, I needed to step back, and then Elissa.
And make her do it.
Yes, exactly. Somebody needed to go through the nightmare that no, actually it's been a wonderful experience. And you know, this year I'm volunteering for the conference. I'm just pretty much helping out with some of the workshops and so forth, just helping, you know, coordinating the conference.
So yeah, this is an enormous amount of work, as
yes,
you say here.
yes.
This is going to be at the Omni Hotel on April 27th. How many people typically attend this conference? How big a thing are we talking about?
Last year we had about 300 attendees.
300.
And as of today, we had about 215 people registered, which is phenomenal.
So I think we're going to surpass.
Exactly. I'm
last year's
hoping.
total.
I'm hoping. This year, again, we've been really fortunate with the dedicated group of people that has spent the last year putting this conference together. And Anna has said before that this is one of the years where the workshops are really tight, and we have new and exciting workshops.
I was looking at this. You do have quite a variety. You cover an awful lot of ground, actually, in a day here. I'm seeing early intervention, nutrition, HIV concerns for women, lesbians and HIV. What are the facts? This is a new one, correct?
Yes.
What are some of the things that people are missing here about lesbians and HIV? I know there's still people who think that lesbians do not get AIDS. What are some of the things that will be covered in this workshop?
Well, one of the things that's very important for the lesbian community is that we know what is the risk. You know, that's the main question that people ask. You know, if there's any risk, and people say yes, and then some other people say no. You know, and I think that also one of the things that lesbians would like to know will be safer sex, practices of safer sex, and also, you know, I think because it's a conference for women living with HIV, there are many lesbians who are living with HIV, and it's a very, I think that my experience in talking to lesbians with HIV is that there's a lot of isolation and a lot of stigma to being a lesbian and HIV positive. So I think that this workshop also wants to cover that part, you know, of like, okay, you're living with HIV, what is it that you do? You know, one of the issues is maybe having a partner, or, you know, or maybe dating somebody. How do you negotiate safer sex? Also, you know, maybe some of the other needs that are unique to lesbians, you know, that will probably be covered. And I think that one of the presenters is going to be Veronica Matos, and they're from the Gay and Lesbian Services Center, the Audre Lorde Lesbian Health Clinic, which is the first one lesbian clinic that is free of charge to the community. So, you know, I think that it's going to be a very dynamic workshop.
Well, you talk about the isolation and people not wanting to come forward with HIV status. It's always difficult. So you have a whole workshop on deciding when, how, or if to disclose your HIV/AIDS status. Some of the issues for women disclosing their HIV status, I mean, besides the obvious issues for anyone disclosing it, how are some of those issues different and more difficult for a woman?
A lot of it has to do with the fact that a lot of the women that I see as clients have children, either have partners or husbands or lovers who are either infected or don't quite understand what HIV means. So by coming out with, by a woman coming out and saying, I'm HIV positive, she fears oftentimes that she could lose her job, but more importantly, she could lose her children, or her partner, or that sort of thing. There's one of the things that Anna mentioned with regards to lesbians and HIV really is true for all women with HIV. It's, there is that stigma, and one of the nice things about this conference is not only do people learn practical skills, but they get to meet other people, other women who are in the same situations that they are, and it's an opportunity for them to say, oh, you have children also, how did you tell your family? How did you tell your partner? How do you tell your kids?
So sort of a networking support group opportunity.
Exactly.
And when the kids, one of the issues that I've seen be extremely difficult to have family and domestic legal issues is one of the workshops. And we hear more and more now about women who have children who are positive, they are positive, the family is going through divorce, who will provide better care for the children, women who talk about putting up their child for adoption so they know who's taking the child when they die. These are some of the issues that will be dealt with, and how does HIV complicate the already difficult issues of domestic family law?
Well, I think you brought up, you know, a lot of the major issues, but this also deals with living wills and dual powers of attorney and that sort of thing, because that is also a complication for a lot of people infected with HIV, especially
Is that something
women.
people forget? They think of like gay men using domestic wills, power of attorney, and all of that, and partnership agreements that women also, not all women are
not
married
all
with a
women
house
are
and
married. Exactly.
Exactly. Women are having to use them too.
And you can't always trust that your family or your partner or your physician is going to do exactly what you want them to do. So it's really important to put everything on paper say, you know, if I get too sick to take care of myself, these are the things that I want to have happen. This is the person that I want to take my child. Because oftentimes, if there isn't that paperwork that exists, the child goes to the closest living relative.
Which may not be the relative.
Of your choice.
Ew.
Exactly.
Yeah, and another thing that I wanted to add about that was that this is such a difficult subject too. I used to be a case manager and working with people with HIV, and that was, you know, asking them, well, have you thought about a will? You know, it's a very hard thing, and have you thought about who you're going to leave your children with? I mean, you know, you have to be really sensitive, and I think that the problem is that it's a very sensitive subject, and most women will probably, you know, not go through it because it's a very painful thing to go through it. I think that putting a workshop on this level opens it up to people who are interested, or, you know, maybe said, okay, I guess I have to deal with it, you know, in a more supportive way, that all these, you know, it's just not you and the case manager dealing with it, it's all these women living with HIV that are dealing with it, and it probably gets a lot of support.
And you offer resources to this for they can get free legal help to do these things.
Yes.
That's the other thing. Do you have the money for the lawyer? et cetera, et cetera.
Exactly. I mean, one of the flaws with the conference is that we only have one day to teach these women everything. So it touches on the basics, but more importantly, it gives them the resources to pursue on their own. So for example, that workshop on legal issues, it's like they'll touch on all of the things that need to be covered, but then they'll say, and this is where you can go to get your will taken care of. If you want to have your child go through the adoption process, these are the organizations and the people to contact.
Do you also have stuff for dealing with the healthcare system? Women classically have had difficulties with the healthcare system, especially if you're in the county system, just getting their needs met, getting the doctor to pay attention. Do you have a workshop, something that's sort of working through that, some sort of empowerment there? I'm seeing stuff on precautions, treatments, and antivirals. Is that something to give women something they can go to their doctor with?
Exactly. It's an opportunity, again, to give women the information so that they can go to their doctors when their doctors say, okay, I want to put you on AZT, 3TC, and sequenavir, which is the new protease inhibitor, and the woman or any client says, huh, what are these drugs?
You want to put me on what?
You want to get, it's, you know, it's all Greek to some people. And again, this gives them the opportunity to go to their doctor with an informed fact sheet and say, okay, I read that AZT makes me, or will do this to me, and 3TC will do this to me, and this is how it'll help, and this is how it'll hurt.
And aren't there different side effects for women?
Exactly.
And for men, and that's also something that has historically been the case, that anyone with the list of drugs used to treat people with AIDS, you can't be sure of what they're taking.
Exactly.
It gets very difficult, but women are taught to sort of say, okay, I'll take 3 of those, and what else should I take?
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's got to,
especially since, you know, women's health conditions with regards to HIV are very different from men. Men can't get cervical cancer. Men can't get breast cancer, and that sort of thing. And those are things that are dealt with in the opportunistic infections workshop. What's different about our bodies that separates us from everyone else.
and things like that. If a man gets a yeast infection, they know it's candidiasis. This woman might have to have
Exactly.
several yeast infections before
Exactly.
that's really realized.
Exactly.
Yes.
So.
Now, this is the 5th annual. How has it changed over the last 5 years? Did you learn new things to put in here?
Oh, yes. All throughout the years we've been learning. It's been a wonderful learning experience. I've got involved a couple of years ago, maybe like this is my 3rd year of the conference, and or maybe my 4th. But one of the things that has changed is that it used to be a bilingual conference. And so we had an English section, and then we had another Spanish section. And it used to be really big. It was a big conference. And one of the things that throughout the years we looked at was that there was a need for a totally independent Spanish conference for women in HIV and for the Latino community as well. And this was more, this is more like monolingual conference. Everything, all the workshops are in Spanish. And so that's one of the things that has come out of the conference, that to let, you know, to have the community have its own and provide for its own, even though we, you know, last year we had the conference, but we had the English conference on one day, and the Spanish conference on the next weekend.
And now really they're separate conferences.
They're separate
Although
conferences.
I see here that you can get everything from Pacific Asian language services, Spanish translators, and American Sign Language
Yes,
interpreters.
and
So
that's something that's also new, you know, because the Spanish conference was in October. Usually what has been happening is that the Women's HIV conference was in November. And from last year, we've really decided, sometimes we don't have enough time to put the whole conference together, and we decided, you know, we really need to slow down, plan this thing really well, and not rush through anything.
Exactly.
And so also too, we decided in April because of the weather.
I like that. That you talk about transportation and
Exactly.
things. Why not do
Exactly.
this when the weather's better?
Yes, and you know, one of the things is that it's lighter, you know, and so the conference ends at 5. People can still go home and relax.
A lot of
you know,
women
and
do not
yes.
want to have to come home after it's
Exactly.
dark. It's light. Later they can get home with
Exactly.
the bus.
Especially if they have their children with them and that sort of thing.
We have a public service announcement we're going to show now, and we're going to do this roll in now. This should be very interesting, actually, on the subject. Okay.
There were 7,000 women in the U.S. with AIDS.
He looks healthy. He loves me. I'm too embarrassed to buy condoms.
Women like me don't get AIDS. By 1996, over 75,000 women will have AIDS. It's time to stop fooling ourselves. The truth is, women like us can and do get AIDS. Call for free confidential help and information.
And there you are. See, that's why we have a conference.
Exactly.
There you are. Those facts. One of the workshops I was interested in mentioned starting over practical discussions for the newly released woman. And I had to actually go, released from where?
That is a workshop that was specifically designed for women who just got out of prison. We have a large group of women in Los Angeles County who were either infected before they entered prison or got out of prison and got infected with HIV due to the lack of educational information that they received or did not receive while they were inside or prior to their incarceration. So this, again, gives women the opportunity to come to peace with the infection that they're dealing with, as well as giving them those basic tools to say, okay, now you're out of prison, let's show you some more steps that you can take to, A, keep yourself out of prison for the future.
I've met women who only found out they were positive when they went to prison. They've been positive for some time.
And of course, counseling and that sort of thing and compassionate care is not always the first priority in prison. So again, this gives them the opportunity to meet other women who were in the same situation, as well as get the resources that
Because
they need.
yeah, they've been sort of out of the loop, to put it mildly, for quite some
Yes.
time. The antivirals, disclosing public benefits, the ins and outs of the system. My first reaction to that is that a 3-day workshop, 24 hours, public benefits, that must be murder. How do you know?
Again, it's a quick overview of everything that a lot of people don't know what's available. They don't know that they can qualify for Social Security benefits or Medi-Cal, or how they can keep their private insurance once they go on disability. And this is an opportunity for them to learn those skills and to figure out how to fill out that paperwork.
Because public benefits can be very complicated
Exactly.
getting into that system.
Well, you're dealing with the federal government.
Yeah, and another thing too is that the planning of it, you know, because they can say, well, if I go on disability, I'll just apply for disability, and well, it takes a long time to get into it. So you need that income and how to, you know, overlap those and just you know, it takes a lot of planning, I think, in terms of public benefits and knowing, you know, when is the time to apply for public benefits, because a lot of people may think, well, I'm HIV positive, I'm disabled, you know, and then you leave your job and they said, no, you're not disabled, you know. And so I think it's that kind of basic information that we want.
And you also have some interesting ones. You have unifying body and mind, Western and traditional Chinese medicine, massage therapy, and I can't pronounce this, Qigong class. What is this?
One of the things that we see with women infected with HIV is they tend to take a more holistic, alternative method of treating themselves. So we wanted to give them, again, the information so that if that's the route that they choose to take, at least they're doing it intelligently. And there's stress relieving mechanisms and basic body movements that basically show you how to decrease stress in your life while at the same time, because the more stress you have, the less healthier you're apt to be.
Yes.
Women tend to be under a great deal of stress. Do you also deal with the issues that women wind up often being caregivers for the rest of the family, and then when they're the ones
Yes.
who get sick, they're sort of out in the cold?
Definitely. And this year, which one of the things that I'm coordinating is that we're having a massage therapy, and what this will is maybe like 15 minutes, So I've organized a couple of people who are masseuses, and there's going to be volunteers. There's going to be maybe like 3 or 4 tables. So in 15 minutes intervals, the attendants can go and get a quickie, a massage, and just to relax. And also the beginning, before the massage therapy starts, there's going to be a small quick workshop on the different techniques of massage and what works better for some people and what doesn't. So I think it's going to be really exciting, and people are, hopefully.
And you have Dr. Alexandra Levine, who's
yes.
opening remarks. I've seen, she's marvelous. I've met her and heard her speak. She not only is a great cancer and AIDS researcher and doctor and has been in this for a long time, she's also a really good speaker. Like, do we know what her topic is, what she's going to be speaking on?
Dr. Levine is going to be talking about the history of women in HIV infection as it relates to the WISE study that is being done, which again is a historical look at women who are HIV infected as well as women who are negative. And what they do is they study these women over a period of time through blood work and whatnot, and surveys and questionnaires. And she's going to be just incorporating that into a discussion. I believe it's half an hour, 45 minutes.
Now, this was also relatively new history-wise in the larger scheme, because what we've had for years is even our best AIDS research has been primarily on men, and that was one of the problems is so many of the drugs were not even tested in the most rudimentary ways on women. And now what we're hearing is that we're going to be releasing information at this conference about the studies that are being done specifically on women.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
And again, it's all about giving women the tools in order to survive.
Okay, how do people, if they want to come to this, how do they get in touch with you? What do they do? Who do they call?
They call me. They can do a couple of things. They can call me through AIDS Project Los Angeles, and that number is 213-993-1526, or they can fax me their name, what workshops they're interested in attending, and whether or not they need childcare and transportation to 213-993-1559.
Okay, and this is free. Health professionals, if you're a healthcare professional, like if you're a doctor, they would like a $30 donation and they want you to pay the $5 for the parking. But if you're not, it is free. You can call and you can get transportation arranged. There is childcare, so people are saying, I'm going to the conference, I don't have the money, I can't get there, and what do I do with my kids? You have this covered.
Exactly.
There's translations into everything, including sign language. You name it, you got it.
This is the most user-friendly event that you could ever ask for.
Now, the obvious thing, you have the 3 tracks. You have 4 workshops going in the morning, 4 here, 4 after. You can't go to all 4. What do you get?
Well, we've just signed a contract with an organization that will be audio taping each of the workshops, and they can either be purchased at the conference or you can find the tapes in the HIV Resource Center at AIDS Project Los Angeles for duplication.
Thank you for coming on the show and telling us about this. I urge people to go to this workshop. I'm going to go by there. I'm going to check it out. And remember, it is free. If you cannot attend all the workshops, they're being audio taped. If you cannot purchase the tapes, you can go listen to them for free at AIDS Project Los Angeles. They're not taking your money. They're offering you something that can actually help you for free, and they're throwing in the transportation, childcare. This is a really good idea. Thank you for watching AIDS Vision.
There's always lots to learn. just as many reasons as to why. You and me got choices, so listen to the voices inside us that say don't quit, don't cry.